I welcome everybody to the journey of moksha. Last time we understood what is journey towards moksha. Today we understand what is the illusion. The illusion is something which we think as permanent thing. Now we have a concept about the soul. Actually, in our language, there is no soul or ruh as such. We call it Atman. Now, what is Atma? What we know as Atma is something which is not there. It is not something which is there in the body. And whatever we think is a Atma, it's a conditioning of the mind. So, if you see a thought too is an illusion. If you see anything, any type of conditioning within you, it's illusion, which is not going to be there, but somewhere we hold on to it and we think it's going to be there forever. Majority of the time we think we are spiritual, but thinking we are spiritual itself is not spiritual. It is a thought, it is an illusion. So expansion of the mind, when you go outside the box of thinking box, you see things as is, not as somebody, not as an identification of a form. We lose all the identification, and that time we know that there is something which is a formless. Now, is the formless born? What we know as Atma is a formless. Is a formless born? So basically what we see as a form, how do we know that there is a formless within it? Because whatever we are seeing the five elements. So how do we know that there is a formless? Is the formless born? The formless is always been there, but we cannot see it because it is something which is beyond the thinking process. Most of the time, whatever we are doing, we are thinking. The people who do healing, the people who do different kind of things, they call themselves healers. Are you healing what? Are you healing the five elements, or you are healing the soul? Most of the time we are healing the five elements and the soul part is missing. So till I do not see myself as a soul, as a Atman, I will not be able to see anybody as a Atman. And that will divide me into duality, because there will be you and me, there won't be oneness. Now most of the time in our journey towards moksha, we are thinking all the time. And that thinking doesn't take us beyond. The thinking is always stressful, and one cannot think beyond what he knows. Because you will keep on moving around what you know, and you won't be able to go beyond that. To go beyond that, what you have to do? The only thing we have as an option, see, everywhere we have options in life. We have to choose it. We have a selection. And what we choose, we suffer. So either happiness or sadness or suffering, everything we choose to be like that. So there is always a suffering behind that. Now beyond choosing things, what we choose is very important, and beyond choosing, once we choose that, we don't stay responsible for what we choose, and we keep on blaming everybody. So the awareness, when it comes with the very high level of responsibility. Once you stand responsible for whatever you are doing in life, you go beyond thinking. You go beyond something where you are involved totally, and you stay there as you are. You don't act as somebody else. And most of the time, in everything what we do, we act as somebody. And that somebodyness is our mind. Going beyond mind is seeing. First we have to start seeing what is mind. We have to recognize the mind. The recognizing mind itself is awareness. Atma doesn't think. And many times we have a habit of saying कि आत्मा का कॉल है, आत्मा ने बोला, हमने किया. ये सब मिथ्या है. We live in this illusion of the forms. So going beyond form is understanding something which is not you. Now what is not you is Shiva. So understanding Shiv is going beyond the form. I'll just tell you a very interesting thing. If you see Shiva, the Shiv has another name which is called Shankara. The Shankara is the one who lives in the world. He has a family, he takes care as a very responsible human being. Now when he becomes nobody, when he is into the sadhana, he becomes Shiv, he is nobody. So we should be in between as a human, in between Shiva and Shankara. So whenever we feel that this identification is not needed over here, we should be able to pull us back. And that peace, that non-involvement with the identity, that peace will give us something which we know as bliss. Whatever we are doing today, what are we doing for? Are we doing for bliss? We want to attain bliss? तो हम ये सोचने वाला जो दिमाग है, the thinking mind, we do not go beyond that. In life, we don't live the way the life comes to us. We live, we plan. And anytime you plan something, you have a formula. And we follow the formulas, and that formula is something which troubles us in living. And that is not the journey towards the moksha. Our journey has so much of conditioning. Now this conditioning, you can call them sanskaras. You can call them, it's coming from the backdrop, the back lives, the other lives, the previous lives and everything. But more conditioning is what we have been taught from childhood. And every conditioning has a formula. We live with the formulas, and that formula gives us a problem. We plan things very wonderfully, but our work on the plan fails because there is a formula. How do we follow the formula and walk on the journey towards moksha freely, gracefully? Here we have to stay aware. There is nothing which is permanent. Every moment I am new. To see this newness in life, it's the moksha. The moksha is not something which you will be attaining after death. You will be attaining it right now. The right now, what situation I am going through. Am I happy with whatever is? No. If I am happy, then I have attained moksha. If I am waiting for something that if I do this, I'll attain moksha, then I am living in an illusion. So living in the illusion is something which you think which is there. It's going to make me somebody. And in this making somebody, we are always suffering. Somebody wants to become something, somebody. Now, most of the time, when we plan something, does it happen? And how much part happens? Because whenever we plan something, there is a fear involved behind it in planning. The fear is something which we want to know that we will fail, will be successful, or we won't be successful. And that is accordingly, we don't want to see something which is going to bounce back or which is going to fail us in life. Now failure is again our concept, because something where we don't gain, we feel that it's a failure. And that is how we don't move ahead. So fear itself is conditioning. You've been told that you have to be successful. You have to be like this if you want to be successful. Now what is your fears related to? Only when you are aware, you will come to know what kind of fears you have collected throughout your life. And every fear is something where somebody or you have yourself trained yourself to think like that. Our every step when we move, we face fear, and that is where we do not grow, or we stop ourselves that this is, I'm not going to accept this in my life, and this is what I'm going to accept. But fear is something, when you face it, you will learn something from it, and that is how you will become successful. And that is where the journey begins. So basically becoming fearless is becoming mindfulness. You are aware. Every step you are aware. You know if there is a fear, if there is something coming, you know how to face it. And once you start facing it, you start moving towards the moksha. Your journey begins over there when you start facing every thought which is fearful, which has greed in it, which has lust in it. When the desires come in to become something, we follow to fulfill the desire. We cannot see what is the desire and where this desire is taking me. Once you see where the desire is taking me, you start getting detached from your thinking process. You start seeing yourself as this mind is thinking, and then you select something which is going to take you ahead. Choosing to be fearless, it's a way, it's a path. Choosing to be blissful, it's a path. But to be fearful is something which is going to take me behind. To going beyond mind, you need to stay aware. Now, for the awareness, the meditation is the practice to become aware. Now, what practice do you follow? What kind of meditation? So, very simple thing. If you are not a meditator, the very basic technique of meditation is to follow the breath. You keep on watching your breath, so that will make you more aware, and that awareness will take you beyond. So the basic technique is following the breath. Begin with the 15 minutes a day. Just sit and just keep on watching your breath, the way it is coming, the way it is going, where it is touching, where you feeling it, how you feeling it, what is the difference when it goes in, what is the difference in the breath when it moves out. Keep on observing every moment of the breath, and that's a very basic meditation, and it's a very powerful also. So you can start with that and slowly increase your time from 10 minutes to 20 minutes to 30 minutes, and that will make you more aware. Because the first thing, whatever happens in your body, the reaction will you see as a breath changing. The way the breath moves, it will change. If there is a fear coming, your breath will be more faster, your heartbeat will change, and then you won't be able to stay aware. So breath, if you learn to how to observe the breath, it will take you towards meditation. It will take you towards awareness. If you know that I am doing this and my thought is disturbing me, you are attached to the thought. You have to learn to get detached from the thought. Once you get detached from the thought, you know it's a thought which has been coming from somewhere, and most of the thoughts, there is a fear involved in it. There is an attachment to it. See, something shouldn't happen to my child. So there is a fear in it. My child should eat properly. There is a fear in it. My husband must be hungry. There is a fear in it. I should eat in time. There is a fear in it. So every thought, somewhere it has a fear. You don't want to lose something. So there is an attachment. And whenever there is an attachment, there is a fear. When you meditate and when you see your breath, you are separating yourself. You are seeing yourself breathing. You are detached from the breath, and you see that say I am Anita, I am breathing. I am breathing in the breath. When it is going in, it is warm. When it is coming out, it is cold. Whatever change is happening in me, I can see everything. Only thing which suffers is ego. Human being is suffering because of his egos.
Next question.
Yeah, next question.
Yeah, so my question is that when you are in a state of thoughtlessness, you are focused on the breath. Say, even with your eyes open, there is no thoughts coming, but you are fully aware. Sometimes you don't even feel like thinking. There is a very strong aversion to even thinking. My fear is that you may be in this state for maybe hours together, even with your eyes open. So in that case, how do you perform your duties?
See, basically, when you say that you become thoughtless, because if there is a mind, if there is a conditioning, the thoughts are going to come. So thoughtless state is something where you are aware of the thoughts. So somewhere in a very subtle form, the thought will keep on coming. They won't end. The thought will come, because without thoughts we cannot live. But when we get attached to a thought, it becomes an ego. And while working, I'm working because I love to work. I'm aware. I'm responsible for the work. When you are responsible, you are in love with the work. And when you start loving the work, then you are not thinking. You're just working. You're enjoying. You're celebrating. That's a state of moksha. All the time it's fun for you, it's a game for you, it's a leela, and you're enjoying the leela all the time. A lot of people, they run away from the responsibility and they feel that they are spiritual. But spirituality is total responsibility. Say if I'm a Vishnu and if I don't take the responsibility for anybody, is this the complete community, the earth community will survive? They won't survive. So because he is responsible, he is able to run the show. The Leela is on. How my involvement in the Leela? Am I responsible for everything, or I am responsible for only things which I have selected and I want to be responsible for it? We are not committed to self, so we won't be committed to anybody else. And when I am not committed, I will be not in love. When I am in love with the Leela, I will enjoy the play. There is nothing like unhappiness, happiness. My state will be pure. It is not, it's something becoming pure. That is very important. But when you are not pure, you are somebody. There is a greed, there is something behind it. Okay. In your question, there are two things. One is negativity, about the negativity and about the positivity. And second is when you are witnessing, are you creating karma? So first thing, when you are not aligned with the nature is complete sansara, the complete play. If I am aligned, I am responsible. And when I am responsible, I am not building karmas. I am just living the way the life happens to me. Right? And in that happens to me is something where there's something we call suffering, something which we call negative, which is unaligned elements which comes to us, which is going to trouble us, and we don't stay responsible. Now we take an example of Arjun. When before the fight, the Arjuna was fearful that I'm going to kill my own people, and then that time the complete Gita happened. Now in that state, the Krishna, the Paramatma tells him that it is your responsibility, you have to fight it. You are killing adharma. Adharma is a thought which are not aligned with the nature. You have to kill that thoughts. Then you will be able to survive and you will be able to attain moksha. So responsibility comes with lot of things. It comes with the totalness. So once you are total means you are aware. So there is no negative and positive in it. Negative and positive is the resistance. If I resist something, I am into negative mode. If I accept something, it is positive. Now acceptance again has two modes. One is you can say what you call there is a something happening to me, ये ठीक है, भगवान ने ऐसा किया है, हमको एक्सेप्ट करना है. भगवान कुछ नहीं करता, हमने किया है, हमको एक्सेप्ट करना है, हमको उसको फेस करना है. So active acceptance means जो अभी हो रहा है, I am going to face it, and one is passive. पैसिव है, ठीक है, भगवान की मर्जी है, ये हो गया. भगवान की कोई मर्जी नहीं है, ये हम चाहते हैं, हमारी आलस चाहती है कि ऐसा हो जाए, हमको उसमें इन्वॉल्व नहीं होना है, हम रिस्पॉन्सिबल नहीं है, तो भगवान के नाम पे छोड़ देना है. एंड that is नेगेटिविटी. लॉट ऑफ पीपल लिव के ये सब भगवान ने किया, हमारे नसीब में लिखा था. ऐसा नहीं होता है. हमको जवाबदारी लेनी है, हमको रिस्पॉन्सिबल रहना है और हमको उस तरह से जीना है. अच्छा, इनका सवाल ये है कि व्हाट इज द रीजन ऑफ थॉट्स. The reason of thought is your conditioning. Can you think of something which you are not aware of, which you do not know? Say my mother tongue is Gujarati, or my mother tongue is Marathi. I'll speak in Marathi because Marathi is my conditioning. Marathi is not the language of God, but Marathi is something which I am been taught and I speak in that language. So everything what you think, it is conditioning. Going beyond conditioning is seeing the thoughts and putting them in the right place, in the right boxes. You should know which is needed and which is not needed. You should know which is repetition, which keeps on coming and which is giving me suffering. This is not needed, I should keep them aside. Let it move on and move ahead in life. What is the reason of thoughts? The reason of thought is conditioning. Because if you are not conditioned, you will not think. A person who is mad, जो पागल हो जाते हैं, क्या वो जो सोचते हैं कि नहीं सोचते हैं? उनके सोच के कारण ही वो पागल हो गए. ये सोच जो हमको बाहर से हमने कलेक्ट की है, and that is what is troubling me, and that trouble makes me mad. But if I convert them into a beautiful, by staying responsible, they won't stress me. They'll make me live more happily. I'll enjoy playing with it. Because if there is illusion, there is a thought behind it. There are words behind it. There are sentences. वो कितना बड़ा illusion है, कोई पैराग्राफ बनता है, कोई किताब बन जाता है, ये सब illusion है.